Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard, and I'm very happy to have the Van Tine brothers with me. I've got Rich Van Tine and Matt Van Tine. Hey, you two.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
It's going great because I just had my longest conversation with you ever after knowing you for about 5 years. Because at the festival, we never, we do Q&As.
Yeah.
But we don't sit and talk for a while, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So now I really know your whole story. I know the Yankee hat is because you're from New York instead of just a poser Yankee fan.
There's a lot of those. Honestly, I think that a lot of people, when they move to the States from other countries, they either legit go Boston, New York, or LA when they
grab a hat,
baseball caps. Yeah. It's I don't know. That's the only ones I ever see.
Yeah, whereas I'm a regionalist. I when someone is a Cowboys fan and they're not from Dallas, I'm like, oh, so when you were a kid, they won a lot?
Right.
You're just a bandwagon fucker.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up. And of course, I'm third generation LA's and watched us lose to the Yankees quite a few times as a kid.
Yeah.
We won a few, two.
We were, when we grew up in the 90s, that was prime Yankees winning World Series every year.
Yeah.
So
even
if we didn't go to New York.
Wasn't the salary of the Yankees at one point equal to 6 other teams?
Probably.
Yeah, that's also what everybody complains about. Of course you win because they give you so much money and you get all these players.
But still, good for you that you got to grow up thinking that world championships were a normal thing.
It really was.
Honestly.
It was normal to me, with the Lakers and Dodgers.
That's true. Yeah.
It was we're gonna win. Right?
I feel like we always ask the question, so who the Yankees going against from the World Series? At the beginning of the season, Yeah. So.
But hey, there is a God because you were given the Knicks.
This is true.
Yeah, I was literally going to say that. I was like, but there's the opposite end of the spectrum in basketball.
Yeah. But you got two good hockey teams generally, I think. Yeah. So you guys.
Technically we have the Nets too, right? They're not good.
They're Brooklyn now. Yeah.
When we were growing up, it was New Jersey.
Yeah, that was always weird. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're talking sports, and we're supposed to be talking films.
And talking sports after saying that we weren't sports guys.
I let Rich's Yankee hat totally send me on a tangent. Spotlight. But hey, we're Americans. We like our sports, I guess. But anyhow, this podcast is these two gentlemen answering the Discover Indie Film 4 questions, which are: name 3 favorite films, name an underrated film, name an overrated film, and name a lesser-known film that people should seek out. Before I let these two answer, I will mention that they came in to talk about their work. So if you listen to the podcast before this, you'll get to hear them talk about their film Magic Box that was at Sherman Oaks Film Festival, as well as A Side of Fries that was there back in 2018, and their next project, Lone Wolf, and you talked about your film Jackal. Mm-hmm. So you can learn all about them, and there will be things for you to click in the show notes to see their work. But now you're going to get to hear their opinions on films. So whom would like to go first with naming?
I'll go first.
All right, Matt's going to go first.
That's confidence.
So let's see.
What are we doing? Favorite films?
3 favorites.
Three favorites. Now, this is probably...
Can we do 4?
Absolutely.
This is probably going to overlap. But because I'm sure he's going to say some of the same.
Brothers, you guys, well, feel free to
because
agree.
He knows I'm going to say that one of the first ones I'm going to say is 7. And another one is Prisoners. And then a third one is a classic, Back to the Future. I'll just go with those 3. I'll just stick to 3. I could just go on, but yeah.
Someone mentioned Prisoners very recently to me.
That would be my answer to your other question of what's a movie that people may not have seen that should see, is Prisoners. I don't know why. I honestly, I don't know. I can't really figure out why it's not that known because I do remember when it came out. It was
2013. Yeah,
2013. It was a big hit. It's it's Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's
Denis Villeneuve's first featured American feature.
Yeah, something like that, and it has a great it sucks you in, and it's so good, and it's got twists and turns. And like I think if you were to look it up on any of the streaming services, you'd find it under hidden gems in on the Netflix on your Netflix app. But I couldn't recommend it more highly. We showed it to our cinematographer Ryan for the first time because he'd never heard of it, and it's like he can't stop
his
talking
reaction
about
was
it.
Hilarious. He just he didn't give much on his face, and he just goes, "Man, that's probably one of the best films I've ever seen." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because I couldn't tell what he was going to say.
Yeah, and I think too, there's like people when they say like greatest films, and everybody's like, "Well, it's got to be a certain years old, like it can't be new." And I'm like, I completely disagree because this is, I mean, it's one of my top favorites of all time, and I still remember being in the movie theater watching it and just taking it in.
Yeah, multiple viewings is really, it's not about how old it is, it's how it holds up on multiple viewings, right?
Yeah.
So if you get those in the first couple years.
Yeah, and I think it's a tragedy that a lot of people haven't really heard about it. You know, and it's got great.
Crazy.
It's shot by Roger Deakins for any of you cinematography nerds, like, and they were shocked that they were able to get him because it was such an indie budget. It's just, it was like all the elements, like just kind of, it's like the planets aligned there, and I don't know why not enough people know about it.
All right, I'll fucking watch it.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Bro.
You should watch it. Yeah.
I know, and this is
so good.
This is the second time in the last few weeks someone has said this about it.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's popped up on a couple of streaming services like recently, and that's probably why more people are discovering it. But yeah,
for sure. And I'll add that obviously 7, Fincher, great, and Back to the Future might be a perfect film, and it's certainly a perfect script. Like I think Back to the Future absolutely deserves the praise you gave it.
yeah, I think too. Some people wouldn't choose it because it's just like everybody knows it, and it's just like, oh, typical. But I'm like, watch it again. Like, just keep watching it. Like,
Perfect
That's
filmmaking.
why everybody goes back to it.
I've had people kind of shit on Zemeckis, but I always thought Zemeckis, especially in that era of the 80s, early 90s, was the best director at managing to trick a Hollywood studio into letting him do something original and yet but like he was so original in spite of working in a system that was about crushing originality. Yeah, and that is one hell of a film.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
I would kill to see the Eric Stoltz footage.
They do have it, like some of it out there.
Can you? Oh, you can see it online?
Yeah.
So I'm just lazy.
They definitely have
It's not
it
a
too,
lot,
like the
I mean, the idea of a different Marty just.
The
the
when you
documentary
watch it, you're
too
like,
is-
he's not bad, but it's just not Marty.
It's not what you need.
Yeah.
For sure.
So there you go.
Right? Rich, you want to say your favorites?
I mean, like 2 of them were already just
Fair
said. So
enough.
like
That's why I
my
prefaced it.
favorite movie of all time is 7. I love it. I watch it once a year. AFI when I was there, they'll bring in films on like 35 millimeter print and they'll show it whatever. They showed it to the class under mine, and I snuck in because I had to watch it on 35 millimeter. And I just think it's literally like a perfect film. Like, not just because it's got such a high concept of somebody who is killing people on the 7 deadly sins, but that it's 2 characters, one who wants in and one that wants out, and you see how they are complete opposites and how they shift later on in the film, and just like the cat and mouse game is just so good. And then Fincher, I mean, that's all I really have to say. Fincher
At his best, right?
At his
just
best,
unbridled best.
It's just, and it's so raw and I like, yeah.
No, 3-4 actors just chewing the screen off. Yeah.
And like just the tone and the setting of like this city that, I mean, it's
so
like
smart. It's so smart.
Too,
Yeah.
You know?
And and I know it was written from like Andrew Kevin Walker when he was stuck in New York City at a shitty job and he just wanted out and hated his life, and that's what he came up with. And it's like the best ideas come from like your own personal like anguish and things that go on. Anyway, I could talk about it for hours. And then Prisoners, which we just talked about, which I think is another film that's, if I have any qualm to it, is that it might be slightly too long. But like the soundtrack is good. Tracked? Is that what you said? Soundtrack.
The score.
The score. Yeah, there it is. The score is perfect. The cinematography is perfect. The directing is perfect. The writing is perfect.
The acting is
phenomenal. The acting is great. It's just, and it has such a bleak tone that I've tried to emulate in like most of my scripts. I don't know why I like bleak shit. It's just
we usually reference Prisoners. And,
it's usually
Seven.
Well, and it sounds like a dark. I mean, obviously those are two dark films. Mm-hmm. And then Back to the Future is not dark at all. But so you're going to do two more.
Yeah. And the third one, I guess, is Donnie Darko, which is another
slightly dark, but like just a killer independent
crazy
film.
Movie. Yeah.
Ooh, double Gyllenhaal. Look at you.
Double G. Yeah. I love it. Like the whole time travel, like the way they do the time travel in that, it's just so different from the way I've ever seen it. And just like the setting in the 80s and
and once
Frank
again,
the Bunny.
I think in that film, like you're wondering if he's reliable, right? If his perceptions are reliable.
And then like he does, like in essence, changes his fate by the end of the movie, and then the Frank the Bunny is just such a like iconic
image.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. This is that's another one that I could watch over and over again. And then I wanted to just like put a comedy out there. It's so out there, but Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
That's a great fucking movie.
Love that movie. It is definitely a good high movie if you're into cannabis. But it's just like, that's a movie that I could watch over and over. Like, honestly, I could just watch anything Jack Black does over and over again. But like, I liked all this bleak shit like that I just talked about. But like, when it comes to comedies, it's like Tenacious D is like top tier. Or like Step Brothers. I'll watch that any day.
Well, that's like they just had like a quote from like Christopher Nolan. Like one of the things like he'll stop and always watch is Talladega Nights, and you just don't expect that from Christopher Nolan, right? So
Talladega Nights is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I went to a screening of the Tenacious D Pick of Destiny.
Yeah.
And I went in thinking what most people went in thinking, and it is just a well-made film and so well written.
It's so wacky.
I'm kind of bummed that they didn't make more, but
right.
I know it does, and I wish it was on, because I collect Blu-rays. I'm one of the
very few
people
you're holding on
who
to
likes
the physical media.
Physical media. So I still collect Blu-rays, and it's not on Blu-ray. So I'm sad.
DVD.
Yeah, so I'm stuck with that.
If I had to say a comedy, like if I had to add a fourth one, I probably would say As Good as It Gets.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's like a dramedy.
I was going to say, does it count as comedy? Because actually, I think Back to the Future counts as a bit of a comedy.
Yeah, that's true.
But I always find myself gravitating back towards like maybe once a year, like watching As Good as It Gets.
That's another one that's not on Blu-ray.
Yeah, like I was debating on putting it under like underrated films, but I mean it did win a bunch of Oscars, so I don't know if it's really
Best Picture.
No, but I think
Oscars, right?
I think it got enough recognition.
Like Helen Hunt got one for that.
Right? So did he.
Jack Nicholson.
Who? Oh, he was in that night.
Yeah. But like I don't know if I could consider it an underrated film because it got so many accolades. But
for sure. Well, here you are segueing for me, but you went first on the first one, so Rich goes first on underrated.
I don't. Oh, do I have?
Unless you want to defer. You can always defer.
Let me. Do you have one? Because let me think about it.
Underrated.
Because I could go through.
I could. Okay. I don't know if I would call it. If some would think it's really underrated, but I think because I'm going to say The Prestige as an underrated film because I think because Christopher Nolan's all of his stuff. Like everybody talks about all of his other things a lot more than they talk about that one, and I think that one's probably one of his best ones. That's why I feel like it's a little underrated, and I feel like it's a little underrated more in the context of just like thinking of Christopher Nolan films, not necessarily like film in general. It's the only thing that kind of pops in my mind.
I mean, that's totally valid.
So,
I'm literally like.
Did he buy you enough time, or
I don't know.
Or should he do his overrated?
Overrated, the
I
one that's
definitely like.
You'll think of it on the way. Home,
Yeah, I'll definitely like think of it on the ride home. I don't know. Underrated. Shit.
Well,
If I think about it.
if you want to throw it in later.
Yeah.
All right, and you want to take a buy on overrated?
Well, let me hear what he has to say, and then if he says, you better not say the one that I'm thinking, because then it just
overrated.
Well, then you might want to go first.
I think overrated. I honestly think Scarface is overrated.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, like everybody loves it, and I watch it and I go, why does everybody love it? I don't necessarily think it's bad or hate it, but like I can't watch it over and over again. It's overacted. It's just and some may argue, I'm sure, like, well, that's the intention. And I'm like, I doubt that was the intention, but they probably leaned into it after, it got such whatever. But I'm just like, people love it, and they emulate that like black and white poster and all that stuff. And I'm like, I think I've seen it like once or twice. And when I say once or twice, like probably once all the way through. And then like the second time, just like bits and pieces. But I don't understand how it's such a, like, people will like fight me, they'll fight me for saying it. Like,
yeah, but also when was the last time they saw it, right? Because depending on the age of the person, like when it came out, it felt groundbreaking, but I think when you revisit it, it's just kind of cheesy.
It's just like
it's just cheese.
There's just so much more, so many better Al Pacino films out there. And I honestly, like, if I were to say a little bit of overrated actor, I would say, I think Al Pacino is a little bit overrated.
Man, you're gonna piss some people off.
I know, and I love Al Pacino, and I love all this stuff he does. But like when I watch him, sometimes I just think he just like overdoes things, and especially like I just watched Heat. I mean, I've seen Heat a bunch of times, but like that diner scene with like him and De Niro, and it's like everybody's like two top quality actors, and I just sit there and I'm like, De Niro blows him out of the water, and he doesn't have to say much. But that's just me rambling. Like, I still think Al Pacino is one of the greatest actors of our time, but I feel
he's
like
fantastic, but he definitely.
I feel
there was
like
a shift.
I think there was a shift
sure.
where all of a
To his
sudden you're
credit,
like, what's going on?
You build up your name, and you're like, should I cash in? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like he does some paycheck projects.
Like Jack and Jill.
Yeah. Good God.
Well, worse than yeah. But which is not to, I don't criticize. I criticize lots of people, but whatever. He, Dog Day Afternoon is like, something that blows my mind what he does in that film.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I feel like there was like that
But
point.
Scent of a Woman?
Yeah, I feel like there's that
Forget
point in
about it.
like
That's not
the
even that good.
90s. The 90s, all of a sudden he changed to like that big like, hoo-ah, like where he's just like, and he's like, what is that line? And he just like, she's got a great ass. He's just like going nuts, and you're like, what's happening here?
You just gave me a theory, which is that Dana Carvey destroyed his career because Dana Carvey's Pacino is better than Pacino when he does great ass. So it's like,
that's funny.
so like once you've seen Dana Carvey do you enough times, how do you do yourself anymore?
That's true. That's fair.
You change it up.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I happen to have binged a lot of old Dana Carvey as of late, and like just amazed at how funny he is. But yeah, he did when he. Mm-hmm. When an amazing mimic mimics you, you're kind of fucked. All right. Did we buy enough time
for overrated?
For an under or over?
Okay, so for underrated, I think there's definitely like a better one, but this one just came to me. Dread. Have you seen Dread?
Mm-hmm.
With Carl Urban.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It's fucking great.
Not Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, no. This is
Yeah. DREAD.
Yeah.
No, it's
It's
DREDD.
Oh, DRED. Okay.
It's technically Judge Dredd, but like they made it in
they did it
2011.
the right way. I think Carl Urban is the greatest.
Oh yeah,
so good.
This movie kicks so much ass. It's literally like, they get locked in this this tall building and they have to work their way up to the top, almost like a video game. And it's just done so fucking well. And I just feel like a lot of people haven't seen it. I don't know why. Have you seen it?
No.
There you go. You saw it though.
I did. It took me a while to see that.
Yeah, but a lot of people haven't seen it. It is, they do say, like, it may be a ripoff of The Raid, which is is it Korean? God,
sure.
I don't want to be ignorant, but I think it's
There's a lot of great movies that are
Asian
Korean
cinema.
ripoffs. Yeah.
But The Raid and The Raid 2 are fucking amazing. So this might put me on like a tangent on like Korean cinema, which I think is so like not underrated. I just think there's not enough exposure, and Americans don't have enough exposure to like Korean cinema, like films like Old Boy.
It's a generational thing too. I feel like because like people. I don't know if you guys are under 30, but like people under 30 or under 25 like will talk to me and they're just more into Korean cinema than anywhere else. And like, when I was that age, if, it was French or Italian,
I just think like
British.
Korean cinema, Japanese cinema, like we took a national cinema class in undergrad that we were exposed to all these films and I'm like, these films are fucking amazing. Like Old Boy is probably one of like my favorites. Not the stupid Spike Lee remake.
The Raid is Indonesian.
Okay, so I sound ignorant.
At least that's
Excuse
what
me.
he said.
But like, yeah, you should watch The Raid, The Raid 2, Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and Lady Vengeance.
Yeah.
Memoirs of Murder. Like I think.
Seven Samurai.
Oh, that's a long one.
That's long, yeah.
But yeah, so my underrated answer is Dread, and
Dread, and then dive into
Japanese and Korean
Asian
and
cinema.
Indonesian cinema.
Indonesian, yeah,
Just like
I just think
Asian cinema is.
I just think it's just top tier.
Yeah.
Overrated. I said I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it. I think Vertigo is overrated.
Hitchcock's Vertigo.
Okay.
It is number one on the AFI Top 100 list, and I have no idea why, because Rear Window is a far superior film to Vertigo. Vertigo is two films shoved together, and, like, just is so long and meanders so much that I'm not seeing it. I don't get it. I don't understand why it is so beloved. It's just Jimmy Stewart being like, Mitch, we got Vertigo.
Oh, Madeline.
Madeline. Okay. I'm gonna try not to like pander to, but
a great Hitchcock film though. Rope.
Yeah.
Rope.
Like out of all like the Hitchcock films, like Vertigo, like just I don't.
I've tried. Actually, in undergrad, a million years ago, I took a Hitchcock class. Like they actually had a class. I think it might have only been offered at summer, but it was just basically 10 weeks of Hitchcock. And cool. I know I get people disagree with me, but I kind of feel like you should only watch the black and white stuff. I feel like once color came along, he got less interesting.
That's fair.
But I mean, North by Northwest is pretty amazing. But
yeah,
still like. But like when he was younger and hungrier and like
prime Hitchcock.
In his prime, I think it was black and white. And then by the time if it's in color and it's Hitchcock, he was already living a Hollywood lifestyle and
that could be
to his credit, he earned that.
I've never seen The Purge.
The Birds?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I haven't either. But
Importantly, have you seen Mel Brooks's High Anxiety?
No.
because that's like, I've seen only parts.
That's his. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah.
I'll have to watch that.
And what's
I
his-
do like Mel Brooks' The Silent Movie, where the only person that actually accidentally speaks was a silent actor.
It's fun.
So good.
Mel Brooks is generally
Yeah.
amazing,
Oh,
but
yeah, 1,000%.
but yeah, for sure.
Can I add one more of my favorite movies?
No.
Sure.
No, we're
Just gonna
done.
add
Sorry.
it because I
always-
came across it and we were talking about kind of like older movies. It's not that old. It's 70s. It's Chinatown.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think Chinatown is like the perfect noir.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people compare it to Pick of Destiny. Nah, I kid.
Chinatown
But
and the Pick of Destiny.
That's another one of those. Yeah, like people refer to, like
Like
if I'm sure screenwriting professors were like, read Chinatown,
Yeah.
get the script.
But
It's
it's so good.
like
It's
perfect.
I think it benefits so much from its time. You know, like there are no cell phones. Like the way that he has to figure out what time the guy he's following leaves, he's got to put a stop, like a wristwatch under his tire so it breaks and tells him what time that it stopped. You know, things like that. It's just so fucking clever.
Agree.
Yeah,
No, amazing. And yeah, whatever. Great film.
yeah.
Superb. God, I haven't seen that for 30 years.
Well, first you got to watch Prisoners.
First, I got to
And
watch
then you
Prisoners.
can go watch.
First, I got to watch the last like 300 submissions to Sherman Oaks. But
Well, there's that. Yeah.
I know I don't get to watch for fun much. But there's one question left, which is a lesser known film that people should seek out, which you kind of already covered. But if you want to name one,
Yeah. Lesser known film. I think we covered a lot of them, right? Because we were
you
like,
did. I mean,
there's one film that I really like that I don't think did very well, and I don't think actually is considered that good. But What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams.
I like it.
I really dig it, but it's a tough one. It's it deals with death and suicide and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like Robin Williams doing dramas and stuff like that.
Insomnia.
Yeah,
That's a good one. That's Nolan, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
oh, I thought you were.
People forget about that. Well, there's that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. The original Swedish, Norwegian,
I don't remember.
Danish.
I haven't seen that one, but
Oh,
but yeah, the Nolan one. People forget he did that one. That one's just like a straight,
Yeah,
simple.
but yeah, this one's I really like it, but I can see it's. I think if people watch it, they're either going to really like it or really not like it.
yeah. And it's very
It's got a very
ethereal and
yeah.
visual. And
Yeah, very dark.
I haven't seen that
Dark
since
tone.
theaters, I think.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see it now. And
It was one that I saw for the first time and hated, and then watched later on, and after just I don't know maturing or learning more about film and all that stuff, I was like, wow, this is like really good. And there's always things I'm like, oh, if they just did this, I think it would have been a lot better. But
we do that less nowadays, right? If you don't like something the first time because there's so much content that for us to absorb now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it used to be, I saw lots of films a second or third time because, you'd see it in the theater and then you'd see it on the video shelf and you'd be like, well, fine, I'll take it home and watch it again. Or it'd be on HBO or cable. And yeah, now, if I don't like it the first time, I rarely give it another shot.
That's true.
yeah,
There's a lot of films that you love way more the second time.
That's true. Yeah.
In fact, yeah, the only time I see them again is we like to go on cruises around Christmas time and just to get away from it all. And when you're trapped in a little cabin at night, and you want to go to sleep, we'll just end up watching a film. I'm like, well, might as well watch that again.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that was actually great.
Yeah.
That's actually how I came to appreciate La La Land.
I love that the first time.
Honestly, I could watch that over and over again. I mean, people either love it or they hate it. That's another.
But every time I see it,
yeah,
I love it more.
Yeah, and honestly, like it kind of puts me in a like not necessarily like kind of nostalgic mood, or just like you
Get you revved up to go.
Yeah, it's like I moved out to LA for the classic like the Hollywood dream, and like that's like a synopsis of the Hollywood dream with just music and like all these things, and like they're going all these different parts of town, and it just gives you so many memories of like when you're over in those parts of town. That I think it's a shame for those who don't like it or criticize it for being like, well, they're not professional dancers, they can't really dance that much. And like that's
not the point.
That's not the point.
It's not the point.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about like, you should always take your first viewing with a grain of salt. Because I think like you're digesting, and then once it's like, unless there are like certain movies, for instance, like Prisoners, I got out and I was like, that was amazing, and I just like it more. But then there are other movies, like you said, like La La Land for you. It's you get out of it and you're like, I don't know. You gotta watch it again. I think it's just like for instance, I went and saw Oppenheimer. It was just so much to digest. I got out of it. I was like, that was really good, but did I love it? I don't know yet. And I feel like if I watch it again, like knowing some things, and like for a second viewing I might, although who has 3 hours of their time to watch it again?
It's also like who you saw it with, where you saw it, like that helps too.
And your expectations, right? Like if you see something before the hype, you often like it's best to have no expectations.
And that's like
I think by the time I saw La La Land the first time, it had already been nominated for Best Picture.
Got it.
So
your standards go to a certain level.
You look at it differently.
I also think that's a problem with like the trailer industry, is that you're like,
Sure,
I've
show
seen the whole
movie,
fucking movie. Why do I the trailer showed me the entire thing. I don't need to go see it. And then it's like when you go see these movies, the trailer showed you the good parts, so the movie's not as good in your mind because you've already seen it.
Yeah. Just go off on a tangent, like speaking of like remembering, you remember coming out of Prisoners, like I will always and never forget remembering watching Jigsaw stand up.
Oh yeah,
when you're watching Saw for the first
fucking
time.
Chills.
It's like if somebody ever asked me, it's like, do you remember like one movie experience like being in the theater? I'm like, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's just like him standing up with that music, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Also, like, plug James Wan, fantastic.
I was gonna say James Wan.
Like, if I had to go down
his writer is fucking great too.
Yeah, if I had to go through like top list further, or like a top list of horror, it's all James Wan stuff, like Insidious, The Conjuring, like
he knows how to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah, even like
daytime.
Dead Silence is not a great movie, but it scares the shit out of you.
Yeah.
No, I always joke. I'll watch anything with his name on it.
Yeah.
But it annoys me that Patrick Wilson's in both Conjuring and Insidious because then I go back and I can't. Yeah, it makes me confuse scenes.
Yeah.
like wait, was that scene in? Or was that in?
Right.
Is he married in that one? Is he with her?
You just need to cleanse yourself with like what, Fast 7? Is that the one that he did too?
And
did he do Fast 7?
Yeah.
Oh, he did. I didn't see Aquaman.
Yeah.
But good for him. I'm sure that. He makes buku bucks off these franchises.
Oh yeah, I mean he's created
the only one
a Conjuring
I didn't like
universe.
that he did was Malignant.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
I hadn't seen Malignant.
It's wacky, and I feel like that's the point. And either people are gonna love it or hate it. But I did not like it. I hated it. Yeah, and
but
like
James Wan is top tier.
Yeah. Well, and I assume you both appreciate horror because
1,000%
love
horror.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't creep onto your top 5 or 6.
No, that's the problem. Is I keep thinking of all these movies. I'm like, oh shit, like, Saw, fucking Insidious, Scott Pilgrim, like just
Scott Pilgrim,
like
all the time.
Edgar Wright.
But it's like, you almost wish you could just go, okay, my favorite comedy,
right?
My favorite
here's my
horror.
top 5.
But then
from
who
each.
has it's tough.
Yeah. At the point you start have to go like, all right, what's your favorite from this filmmaker?
So well.
Yeah, we can just keep naming so many films. So.
I know,
I
but
could
it's
just sit here
but
for
isn't
hours.
it, and now here you are, like understanding why festival juries, why like award stuff is so annoying because it's so hard to acknowledge horror and comedy because our brain just goes towards the dramas. I mean, well, 7 is horror-esque for sure, but it's a drama. It's a respectable drama, but that's why it's important to me that the festivals separate those awards by genre because it's just not fair to have a cancer chemotherapy film go up against a silly fart joke or a film with a butt plug. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
it's just like, come on, it's not right.
Yeah.
They're all artistically valid.
It's true.
Sometimes you're at an orgy and people die.
That's
And that's
sometimes
just
that
as
happens.
good a film as a cancer patient.
Exactly. 1,000%.
All right. Well, hey, I guess we might as well wrap it up. We're just chatting. All right. So, clickable show notes. There will be clickable links in the show notes for everything that Matt and Rich Van Tine are involved in. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Thanks again. Yeah.
Thank you for having
I hope
us.
you had fun. I will name this is the Discover Indie Film Podcast. I might have forgotten to say this, but please like and subscribe. Maybe even write a review. Be kind. I joke. You're like number 407, maybe 408, but everyone does twos. But so like 200 filmmakers have been on here. I think there's like 15 reviews on iTunes.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. But anyway. And I joke about that, and still no one review. I don't care if we get reviews. But anyway, if you want to learn about this podcast or the TV series that is born from it, just go to discoverindiefilm.com, or it's at DIFwins on social media. Rich and Matt's films. I was going to say, and then I wanted to change the sentence to Rich and Matt have had 2 films so far at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles. And you can learn about those festivals if you go to ShermanOaksFF.com, and it's at ShermanOaksFF on social media. If you can't figure out that was for Sherman Oaks Film Festival, it's okay. We don't need your attention. And Film Invasion Los Angeles is every June. You can learn about that at FilmInvasionLA.com, and it's at FilmInvasionLA on social media. And as long as I'm talking to you, go to WatchTVHi.com. Check it out.
Get high.
Get high. Watch if you can, do drugs responsibly, and I do urge people to be responsible. I have friends in recovery. I happen to have been able to try pretty much every drug on earth and not be addicted, but I just whatever. I shouldn't.
You're a special breed.
Do I have to delete that?
Maybe. I don't know.
I really.
That's up to you.
That is up to me. I'm very lucky. I got blessed with body chemistry that I did coke. I enjoyed it, and I never did it again.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah,
Coca-Cola
that's not
is
something.
good.
That's not something that someone raising a kid just. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Try Coke Zero.
Yeah. I am talking about Coca-Cola. Yeah, I don't drink any sodas.
No?
Yeah.
No, it's unhealthy. Just water.
So it's
good.
Coke.
It is good,
Yeah.
especially if you need a little perk. Little perk from your Coke. All right. Watch TVHi.com. Just go check it out. All right, sirs. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
everyone, for listening.